Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing the House of Stuart, which lasted from 1603 all the way to the year 1714. So let's just begin. So James the Sixth and First. So the truth is, the House of Stuart had actually lasted hundreds of years before over in Scotland, before it came into contact with England, or I guess you could say took part in the English succession. Basically, James's mother, Mary Queen of Scots, she was deposed in 1567 for a number of reasons, and ultimately she ended up in England, and she was killed by her cousin Elizabeth I. And this James here, is related to Elizabeth because Elizabeth's father, Henry VIII, his sister married James the Sixth's great-grandfather, James the Fourth. So when Elizabeth I died with no kids, she passed the English throne over to James. So James had a pretty successful rule in England. He moved the capital to London. During his rule, Guy Fawkes also did. Charles I, during his rule, the English Civil War took place. It was for a number of reasons, but ultimately Charles was executed, and his heir Charles II had to flee to France to his cousin Louis XIV. As you can see, Charles married Henrietta Maria, so Charles II's uncle Louis XIII had a son, Louis XIV. So Charles fled to his cousin's country, which is France. And during that time, the Cromwells ruled England. But then Charles came back and he deposed Oliver Cromwell's son, Richard Cromwell. So Charles II became king, and the monarchy was back. Now, during Charles II's time, there was a bit more expansion into America, and during his rule, the Great Fire of London also took place, and that impacted the kind of building structure materials that they used for houses. Now, after Charles died, the succession passed to his brother James because Charles had no legitimate heirs. Now, the problem was James was a Catholic, and ever since Henry VIII, all British monarchs were Protestant. So the plan was that after he died, it would go to his eldest child, which is Mary, because she was a Protestant. But then everything changed when James had a Catholic son, and abiding by the rules, James's son would become the heir. But before that, Mary and her husband William, who is also her cousin, deposed James, and he fled to France to his cousin Louis XIV. And Mary and William, they ruled together. You can see the date here. You can see William III also was the stadtholder of the Dutch, of the Netherlands. His father was also a stadtholder. And you can see his mother was the sister of James II and VII. Now, after William III died, the crown passed to Queen Anne. And during the rule of all of these three monarchs, the Jacobites attempted to take the throne, but they were unsuccessful. During Queen Anne's reign, to combat the Jacobite threat, the Kingdom of Great Britain was officially formed. Ever since James VI and First, it was kind of unofficial, but with Queen Anne, it was made official. Now, Queen Anne was pregnant many times, but she ended up not having a child that lived past her. So the British Parliament found out that the closest Protestant heir was Sophia of the Palatinate, and you can see Sophia's mother was the sister of Charles. Sophia ended up dying a few weeks before Queen Anne did, so the throne passed to her son George I, and I covered George's line in the video I did yesterday. And that's basically it for the Stuarts. If you want me to keep going, I'll go back to the Tudors, which I haven't made yet, or I'll go down past Queen Victoria all the way to King Charles III. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series, and I'll try branching out to some of the other countries that I've been making. Thank you.